It's Mejia May.
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Danny Mejia, aka Mejia Made. Today, I'm gonna be showing y'all how to make a Larry June Cardo type of sample. So let's get into it. All right, you guys, so that was a sample right there. Let's start getting into the sample breakdown. The first thing I'm gonna start with is the chords. So what I first started off with is these chords right over here. I was just messing around on the piano, just trying to come up with different ideas, and this is what I came up with. So let's take a listen. So starting off, the VST I used for this sound, I used Korg Trident. I used a Pro Dyno EP preset. The first plugin I used for this sound, I used Tremolator by Sound Toys just to make it a little bit more interesting. The next plugin I used, if you guys have already seen my videos, y'all know I love this plugin. It's called Pancake 2. This is just to make it pan left to right. I only have the mix up to 20%, so it's not doing too much. The next thing I did, I deducted some of that low end all the way up until 90 hertz. Next up, that first sound was cool, but I wanted to go ahead and layer it. So what I did is I added this sound over here. Let's go ahead and take a listen. So the VST I used for this sound comes from Contact. I used the Scarby Mark 1 Stretch Tuned preset. The only thing I did to this sound is I added this outer wah effect right over here just to give the Rhodes a different type of feel. Then for the effects, I didn't add anything to it. I only deducted some of that low end up until 90 hertz again. Then next up, we have this sound over here is just to layer the chords once again. So let's go ahead and take a listen. So as y'all can tell, that's kind of more of a pad type of sound. I just wanted to give it extra texture and really just kind of separate it from the other sounds that I already used. So the plugin I used for this sound, I used Korg Trident once again. I used the Simple Sine Pad preset. And then jumping right into the effects for this sound, the only thing I added is this Pancake 2 plugin once again. And then again, I deducted that low end down to 293 hertz. So just soloing out the chords, all three of them sound like this. So as you guys can tell, those three sounds really complement each other really well. They balance each other out and just make the chord sound a lot more full. So now that the chords have been laid down, I wanted to start adding some melody to it. So what I ended up doing is adding this sound over here. Let's take a listen. So the VST I used for this sound comes from Massive X. I used the Fancy preset. And again, just like the chords, I wanted to layer this sound once again. So what I ended up doing is playing the exact same melody, but I just used a different VST. So let's go ahead and play that. So now that we're in the piano roll, as you guys can see, what I ended up doing with this sound, I actually played the melody just in two separate octaves. As you guys can tell, this is the higher octave and this is the lower octave. For those of you guys that are sample makers or even just producers that make your own melodies, This is a good technique to make your sounds sound full without having to add too many effects to it. So just to give you guys some context of what I'm talking about, I'm gonna go ahead and just lower that lower octave and let's listen to what it sounds like. So as y'all can tell, it made a really big difference. It just added a lot more fullness to the sound. All right, next up, I wanted to start adding some ambience to the sample. So what I did is add this sound right over here. For this sound, I used the Hive 2 VST. I used the BL Spirit Guide preset. So as far as the melody section, let's go ahead and just solo them out and let's listen to what we have so far. Next up, I wanted to give the sample some texture. So what I ended up doing is adding this sound right over here. So as y'all can tell, once again, I did consolidate this sound. Let's go ahead and listen to what it originally sounded like. And the VST I used for this sound, again, comes from Contact. I used the Noir Felt library, and I used the Smooth and Deep Felt preset. So one of the effects I use for this sound is the Guitar Rig 6 FX plugin. I was just going through different presets to just try to see what type of texture I was looking for. I ended up coming across this CJ Wall Talkers preset. And let's go ahead and take a listen to what the sound sounds like with the effects turned off. So as y'all can tell, it's a super basic piano sound. So let's go ahead and turn the guitar rig back on and let's listen to what it sounds like. Next up, I wanted to layer the chords once again, but instead of playing this sound as a chord, I actually took different notes from the chords that I originally played to get this sound right over here. So let's go ahead and take a listen. So the VST I use for this sound comes from Purity. I used the Swelly SNH Poly preset. So personally, I think this sound did a lot for the sample. Let's go ahead and just play this sound and the chords together and let's listen to what that sounds like. All right, and for the last sound for this sample, I wanted to add another type of sound that just made the sample just a little bit more interesting, added a little bit more texture, which is this sound that I added over here. So let's go ahead and take a listen. So once again, the VST I use for this sound comes from Purity. I use the Aqua Telephone preset. All right, y'all, so that was it for this sample breakdown. I'm gonna go ahead and play the sample just one more time so you guys can listen to everything in context. All right, y'all, so that was it for this week's sample breakdown video. If y'all gained any type of insight, please leave a comment, please subscribe. It's really gonna help the channel grow. If If y'all are new to the channel, I do 4 uploads a month where I do 2 beat breakdowns, a sample breakdown video just like I did today, and I also do a sample flip challenge. So I'm gonna go ahead and catch y'all next week for another video. Stay blessed.